Good morning and welcome to Facing the Lion podcast. Thank you for joining our podcast as we talk about feelings and emotions. Today's topic will talk about watering yourselves, and it is Transformation Tuesday. What are we watering ourselves with? How do we water ourselves? How do we water ourselves? Let's be honest and have a look at how we are changing our lives. Tuesday. I'm beginning to really get into Transformation Tuesday. Why am I getting into transformation? Because it requires something from us. And what does it require? Change. Absolute change. And I mean the change is one step at a time. By the way, our direct connect to Vibe Talk is 1-888-721-9260. You may use that number during, after, and before the show. We don't just have to be sharing conversations live. That is your number to call in to the show. I thought it would be nice for us to start with love. We love others. The word I love you is always used somewhere, somehow. We say I love you to our children, our significant others, and we even say I love you. But now, are we saying I love you to use it as a trend? That's the thing to say. And what are our definitions of pouring love out? Let's think about what are our definitions of love when we pour love out. Now, I'm going to ask you a double question because following that, I want you to think about what are we doing when we're watering our own selves with love? Come a little closer. I've asked the two-folded question. The second question is, what are we doing when it comes to pouring love into ourselves? Are we on the bottom of the barrel when it comes to loving ourselves? And no, I'm not talking about the narcissistic love. I'm not talking about the love that we love our pets. Because we have identifiers of what we love. And it's so easy for us to say the word, because I love you. But today, make it a transformation that you will practice saying that you love you. Because if you don't feel that love poured into yourself, how in the world can you pour it on to other people? You know, a lot of people want to be loved. And I find that some of those people that I have interacted with that want that love, they can't even dare to love themselves. So let's start watering ourselves. with that love. Why? Because in order for something to change, we must grow. And in order for something to grow, we must change. It is inevitable of our transformation to change. I want to move on to acceptance, our acceptance of ourselves and how we're doing with that. What are you doing with that? Accepting or acceptance of yourself. What does that mean to you? And good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
When we think about love and acceptance, what are you acceptant of? Trish, what do you think you're acceptant of?
That's a good question. Um, I think I'm in acceptance of that I'm not perfect. That's something I accepted with myself. It helped me learn to love myself on my self-love journey as well. So that's one thing I can think of. I accept that I'm not perfect. I make mistakes.
And I look at that word and I think about how I'm now accepting that I cannot change other people. As much as I hope for the best, want the best, can't change other people. So I'm a bit in acceptance of that while realizing only that I can change is my deeper that you're allowing something, you're saying it's okay, you're undertaking it involves an say you're active, you're taking your team all in allowing permission, allowing that mission, that's like a side of things. You know, some people accept touch their side or walk out of accept while others act as if nothing can be done about it. And you say, why are you allowing that? Or you think, why are you allowing that? Today, I want you to think about why you are allowing something in your life that is not beneficial. It hasn't done you a bit of good. It hasn't done you a bit of change for the best. So what are you accepting? You know, when we think about acceptance of things, allowing, acknowledging, embracing, what is your reality? Do you recognize any growth, personal growth? Because if you're not growing, you know, it's like going over to the flower pot and you say, gee, I've watered these flowers and they're not growing. Are you accepting of that? Or do you find that you need to do a little bit more digging, perhaps? Maybe setting the soil, maybe getting more fine soil? Because some of us have to literally water one step at a time. Our acceptance of things, meaning that we are acknowledging something. Some of us are codependent, while others of us are struggling with chemical dependency. Are we allowing this without asking, what am I doing? Why I'm not acknowledging that I'm not moving any further. We want to face that. We don't want to set this podcast as if we are judging. We want to understand. We want you to understand. How many of us have ever wanted to grow something? How many of us love flowers? I love flowers. I like to see them. I like to see how they're going to blossom. But if after a while, after time has went by and I don't see the first bud, I know that something went wrong. And so one time I decided to dig a little deeper so that I could literally find the root cause of why that flower that I knew that I put seeds in was not growing. And sometimes we may smother something, not give it enough nutrients, not take daily care to water it. What are we being watered? And this is no judgment. How do we choose? How do we choose to move beyond ourselves when it comes to yourself and being one, which is the title of our podcast? We are live. If you don't catch us live, you can catch this episode here or streaming on wherever you're listening to some of your favorite podcasts. But I want to talk about watering and how we respond to it. Let's be intentional about how we are dealing with acceptance. Because when we think about acceptance, there's so many levels of it. Acceptance of what you or I put up with. Sometimes we accept abuse in our lives. And if you're not that person, if that Cinderella shoe does not fit, you don't have to wear it. But some of our listeners are going through that. Acceptance, domestic violence, acceptance of their life so out of order. And I've been there a time. Not so much the domestic violence, but maybe verbal, emotional abuse. We're accepted. When do we grow from that? When do we seek the wisdom and knowledge to say, I'm no longer accepting that? And yes, it points to our self-acceptance. Because some of us can't tolerate ourselves while we are tolerating the other. Come a little closer. Some of us are having difficulty challenging ourselves, or we don't challenge ourselves to accept ourselves. You need to be able to understand what pouring into yourself means. Because if you don't pour into yourself, how will you pour onto others? That's a question. Self-acceptance. Self-acceptance of being kinder to yourself. Compassionate toward the things that you want out of life. That is when you start to develop personal transformation. We think about understanding what's the reason. In a conversation just yesterday, I was talking to my sister and I said in conversation about something, you must understand that our understand. Going back to accept, sometimes we will prejudge a situation without having understanding, without having known. We all do it. Include myself. But you really have a tool of what is really, because we were made to try to understand. We were made to seek knowledge. But when it comes to ourselves, we won't invest in that time to understand self-acceptance. But you know, say when other people are, and you know what other people are, imperfect, make mistakes. We say, what? I understand. But when it comes to our stuff, we can't understand why we are the way we are, and we talk harshly to ourselves while pouring onto others kindness. Today, we want you to learn how to do that within yourself. Everything must change in order to grow. And if you're not growing, I ask of you to dig a little deeper. And if you don't know how, start with this today. And just listen, be a listener, see how that takes you. You know, growth takes development. I'm going to start with plants, because everybody understands. But all plants from somewhere. Every tree that you ever laid eyes on, it started from seed. They had to go, they had to go, store goods. There's a sometimes when you know that our streets, some trees are bent and slant, and they make the most beautiful designs, but they're still rooted. But they were watered. Someone took the time. Are you like those trees? When things come about, you're able to still pour in the positive in your life. See, we grow from lessons. We grow from things that we remembered. And you know what's really amazing? Even the most painful thing that have ever happened to us, we grow. We learn and we grow from that as well. We accept finding peace. We have podcasts about our peace. Some of us are not at peace with ourselves. We are at war with ourselves. Never mind the war that's going on in any environment that we live, because we know that we have people who listen to us, that war is going on in their countries. I'm talking about the war with them. Are you still tolerating that? Or do you say, let me put this down and let me figure this out? because it's possible. Acceptance is very important. Acknowledgement of yourself, acknowledgement of things that are going on in your life. Self-belief. What do you believe? People always say, how do you feel? What are you thinking? Maybe not in that order. We're going to talk about self-belief. What is self-belief? Having the confidence to be able to look at your ability, your inner self, and being able to handle the challenges that come your way. How do you trust your feelings, your personal? How about changing those maybes to I'm going to achieve this? I feel that it's important to accomplish any goals. Let's talk about relationships for a moment as we talk about self-belief. I've been in conversations in my personal life, and you know what I found out? In my personal life, everybody wants to be in relationships. We're women, and we say, I was once in a bad relationship. I was once in a very negative relationship. I kept watering myself with the negative and it kept pouring and oozing out to me because that was all I knew. But now I want to be in a relationship. Can I be in a relationship? Because just because you're 40 or 50 or 60 doesn't mean that life has ended for you and you cannot get in a better relationship or you cannot have a good relationship. But it starts with you. Trusting in your abilities, gaining confidence, self-regard for who you are and who you will become, belief in yourself. Because don't you find that if you're talking with one of your pals, your guy friends, your girlfriends, and if they said, I doubt myself, what would be your response to them? Because the way that you respond to them once those words come out of their mouths is the way that you're going to respond to yourself. Or you will learn to respond. Because you're going to tell them, there's no need to doubt yourself. Or I understand, I can relate. What will you do about that? You start yourself to transform into beautifully grown. You're going to have in your self belief, believing that you can achieve. When you do, I want you to take resilience with you, because it's not going to be easy to water yourself with self-belief. But here's what you will learn. You will learn from all those setbacks. Guaranteed. I'm not going to tell you you're not going to have setbacks in your self-belief. Another factor is be filled with your taking action. Transformation and change means an active word. You're taking active to be able to reach personal developments, your willingness. and you're going to persevere. Going back to the trees, and we're familiar with trees. What if life had no trees? And did you know that some of those trees have went through some pretty tough times? There are trees that have been burnt down or burnt. There are trees that have been chopped down to the very root. But how do you know it was a tree? Because the stump is left. There's something left from it. And even if you're starting at the stump of your life, there is possibility. Be a tree, be well watered. Look at the perception of yourself. And I know many of you say, here, Miss Nisi goes again with looking at yourself, because you know what that means, that you've got to get out your personal mirrors and you've got to stare it right in the face. What's looking back at you? You are the key to the self-watering, to begin with yourself. It's important because it's going to help your well-being, your mental health, your emotional health. It's going to be able to reduce not so days. You'll have more good days than you will bad days, challenging days. There will be some. Just go look at a tree. And even if a tree has never been burnt, it has been without the blossoming leaves or flower buds. You don't believe me? Just wait until winter. How bare a tree gets. You know, some of the trees, and you're like that tree, have been through the toughest times. Aren't you like that? You know, social interaction. Every day, Trish and myself, we come here, we know by talking to all of you that you're going to call us, you're going to comment, you're going to tell us how you feel. And we're glad that you're able to do that. When we started out, we had social interaction. It was did our group sessions online because it was COVID. We still have that. We've grown, we've transformed from just having it online. Now it's online and in healing center, but the social interactions, you're able to feel, relate. It's hard, but it's important. So how do you, as you're pouring out, what do you tell? What do you do? You're to yourself, kindness, and understanding, and the same emotional experience, emotional sell a friend, pour into yourself. We negatively talk about ourselves. Are you surprised? Every one of us has done it. You know what we say? Ah, I hate myself. But he or she is so beautiful. Why can't I be that beautiful? Ah, I hate my life. Yeah, enough. How many of us have done that? Have you ever done that, Trish? I know I've
Yes, I
done
have.
that. So how do we transform that into being able to treat ourselves with self-compassion, with with what we do? We can change that around, because what are have been firing yourself to get thought right, because you have now rewatch when you start doing with second. It's a project. It works on a school assignment. And you know what you said to yourself? I did that. School. I was able to, because that word has been watered loosely. When they say she did that, you can know I did that. That's a you celebrating. It's all being proud of who you are. Pour that in yourself. Visualize. When was just the last time that you put into you accomplish you? I just talking this morning. I am working about just every day. Still a few more chapters of the book and in their emotions. This is right. I haven't talked that much, but it's in the just when I started to I'm going to make a get a little bit. I'm proud. I've been talking about this book for a long time, right, Terry?
Yes, you have.
Long time. But just go me to focus and finish. For one thing about what's working right now, isn't it? Right. It's back to school time for many of students, maybe your child. Maybe it's going to be your first year for kids. We celebrate as a student, college student, first year, just for how your first day is. Celebrates women's you can do with the class that you have. Your vision. And there is a difference between confidence and self-belief. You know, because a lot of people will fool you. You say they're so confident, you know, like the commercials, and you go out and you go buy it because you believe in them, right? Can I tell you what? Well, half the people that are in those commercials, they don't even use the product. But you were sold because they were confident, right? That just goes to show you that many people that you think exudes confidence, they don't even believe in the product. You know, if you watch a child, sometimes you can really tell in commercials if they really, really like something versus they can't stand that. And they will tell you that was really nasty. You can see it in their face. So what am I saying? That confidence and self-belief are two different things. What are you a believer in? And if you're a believer in that, you don't have to debate it because that is how you feel. Whatever you've gone through and you say, Miss Nisi, I went through this and I believe in that. I'm going to take you for your word and not debate you. But your self-belief can be not confident at all. You're a doubting person. You doubt yourself. And you start the sentence by, I doubt that. Can't get any clearer than that, can you? By telling someone you doubt that. But you can say, I believe that this will get done. No one could have told me that Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast would be 5 years still going. No one could have told me that. Because it was my self-belief. The confidence that we had each day to get online, to be here, to be present, we had that. And you, the callers, by your permission, you came back for it. So it built in us confidence, reassured that someone would listen to us. But now my self-belief was different. But it was the stepping stone, the root cause of why we kept going is because you believed in us. And you know what you gave us? The ability to believe in ourselves, that we had to keep going because somebody's always listening. True and present. Moving on, empathy. I went to my niece's funeral this past weekend. And as I sat there and having experiences with her, I started to think losing someone really hurts. And the Bible discourse that was given helped me to understand God's empathy, Jehovah God's empathy, how he feels when someone we love dies. Are we like that? Do we go to funerals and really feel what people feel? Because we are made like that. We're made in wisdom. We're made in love. We're made with all these beautiful feelings, and we're made to express those feelings. But empathy, when we look down at a parent, or not look down in the way that you think, looking at grieving parents, but the reason do we feel what they feel? Or do we say, well, I don't know how they feel because it's not mine. How would we feel? As tears gently came out of my eyes, I began to understand. Because I too lost. I lost my first one. I know what that feels like because I grew up with him. But until you have that empathy for yourself, you will then begin to have empathy for others. Don't shrug it off like it's not me. It's the same as if we go to a wedding. We're not the ones getting married, but do we not feel empathy of joy for the couple that is getting married? We feel what they feel is empathy. How's your healing? Have you been watering yourself with healing? Your healing. What's it looking like? Are you hopeful that one day it's possible that you'll heal from all the things you've been through? Again, I ask you today, please look at a tree. A tree, you never know the history about a tree, right? But if a tree could talk, what would it say? Hey, you know what? I've been through some things. You would never know the history of those beautiful trees, but they've been through a thing or two, and they've healed. And as they began to tell their story, imagine this. Hey, you know that last hurricane? I was involved in that, and I survived it, they say to another tree. And then the next tree says, well, that one over there, that looks a little crushed up, but they say, I'm scarred. I've been through a battle. And it was worse the first time. So I knew what the second one would be like. If only trees could tell their story and their healing. What about you? What is your story? What are you watering about your healing? Is there hope for you? Do you pour into kind words? How many of us have ever met a very kind person? And that person was not a put on, just naturally, by nature, just a kind person. I hope we've had that experience, because I'll tell you what, some of the kindest people have been through the worst of times. And what do? They said what the tree said. I've been through this. Life's harshness has taught me how to be kind. It's not true that just because a person has experienced unkindness that they can't be kind people. But you don't know their story. All you know is, gee, they were so kind. How did it make you feel? Let me ask you another question. Are you speaking kind words into yourself? When we treat the flowers with kindness, we get beautiful flowers. We get beautiful flowers. And those flowers can be picked as a kindness to other people, because flowers make me feel good. I love flowers. I love variety of flowers. Patience. I'm still working on patience with myself and with others. I used to say I don't have any patience, but then I need to learn patience. I cannot be a good counselor or life coach if I am not patient. I'm a parent, so therefore, as a parent, I need to have work on patience. How are we doing? Keep watering. How about good people? Are there any good people in your life? Some people don't have good families. They say, my family is toxic. My family is this. Are there any people in your life, working as I have as a child educator? A lot of those children came from foster homes. Foster homes didn't treat them so good. And so what did they have? They had this classroom teacher. And you know what they got to say? Boy, I sure love that teacher. Imagine the goodness that you gave them or you give someone. Give that to yourself. Stop saying you don't have good people. Choose good people. Life is a choice. Choose, change, transform. If you don't have any good people, be good to yourself. A smile, saying hello. People will consider that as that was the goodness that happened to me today because we don't know what people are going through. In Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, you know what we do? We always think about people's thoughts, how they think. We invite you to think in your thoughts and try to dig a little deeper and get the weed thoughts. And I'm talking about weeding your thoughts out. Because what happens when the weeds grow among the beauty of the flower or the trees? Not a beautiful sight. So what do? We dig and we take those rooted weeds out to produce good thoughts. Keep watering yourselves. We're going to be right back with Trisha's treasures. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Come unwind with the Healing Center, a place where we feel thrilled to heal. We are back, and now it's time for that segment you've all been waiting for, Trisha's Treasures. Trish?
So, my sister has a bell pepper plant. Um, she takes great care of it. She wakes up in the morning and she waters it, and she even looks at the weather. She's like, "Is it gonna be too hot for the plant to be outside?" And she'll bring it in, sit it by the window, and I recall a time where we had a tornado watch. We have a lot of that in South Carolina, guys. We had a tornado watch, and we're outside, and we can feel the gust of the wind. Like, it's very heavy. I think it was, at the time, it was 12 miles per hour, and we're just outside, and then she's like, "Oh no, my plant!" And my big brother, he said, "Well, why don't you go get it?" And I was like, "No, she can't go get it. She's too little. She can't go get it." He was like, I got it. I'll go get it." And so my sister was like, "I don't want my plant to be blown away. Like, I took care of the plant and things like that." And so we saved the plant. Thank God, because she loves that plant, guys. Like, I've had a bell pepper from her plant, and it was amazing. She did a great job. And it's so awesome how I see her, like, nurture the plant, water the plant, go outside and check on the plant. when the boll weevils are on the plant or the bugs that eat plant, she'll like she'll spray the bugs off. She'll keep like trying to make it thrive and grow to keep going. And it's still thriving till this day. She had that plant for a long time. And it fascinates me how she's only 16 years old, guys. I'm talking about her like she's experienced, but she's only 16 years old and she's doing such a great job. I'm proud of her. But that just made me think about how we should take the time to do all we can to nurture ourselves, make sure we're doing well, make sure when we are in that storm, in the gusty wind of life, that we're good, that we are okay. And I just think about one of the commandments in the Bible. I love reading the Bible, how Jesus was talking about loving ourselves as we love, loving others as we love ourselves. And also, how we always say the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. And those are very important things because it goes back to the mirror. I know we always talk about the mirror, guys. We always talk about that. But it's very important because that's a big part of life, facing ourselves, facing our challenges, and as we say here, facing our lions, dealing with what we wake up with. We wake up with our lives to handle. We wake up with the person that's in front of the mirror. And that's the first thing that that's the first thing that I've learned to think about when I wake up in the morning, because at the end of the day, I wake up with me, and at the end of the day, I go to sleep in my body. So it's important to take care of myself. And as someone that's been going through the self love journey, it becomes hard sometimes because, like what I said, there's a gust of wind. Sometimes it's not even 12 miles per hour in life. Sometimes it's hurricane winds, which is like 45 miles per hour, 35. And I've been in hurricane weather before. It is no joke. And sometimes things can get very overwhelming, and it feels just like that. It feels so hectic in life. And sometimes I don't know what to do in the midst of that. It feels like I'm in the eye of the storm, like I'm in the ocean. That's how it feels like. And then, like we talked about, reclaiming our peace. During that hurricane, within my mindset, within me, I take a step back. I'm in the ocean, but now I'm on the shore. I'm seeing the storm from afar. I'm looking at it. And I ask myself, is this how I want to feel? Am I going to accept this gust of wind that's on me, this pressure, this being overwhelmed, this stress, this restless feeling? Am I going to accept that? And is this going to be the picture of who I am as a person? And it's up to me whether I say no, I'm better than that, I will get through this, or yes, this is me. And so I say all that to say that remember that your self-love, and when you are taking care of yourself, it's important to ask yourself questions, to reflect on if you matter, because I believe you matter. But we can always believe that you matter and you're awesome and you're amazing. But what really matters within that belief is that self belief, the belief in you, the confidence within you, the strength that is within you. So take care of yourselves.
you want to hear more of Trish's treasures, go to our YouTube page and click the button and notification. Did you know that Trish does all of our intros, outros, our commercials? Go find and follow out. You'll be inspired. Remember, it's Trish's treasure. So, our wrap up. We said to the tree next to it, how do you stay rooted? Why are you so well rooted? The tree says, I stay and I continue to be well watered. And that's the point. How do we water ourselves? You see, a tree needs others to water it, or it needs rain or snow. What do we need? We nurture ourselves with the things that were mentioned here. If you have missed this podcast for any reason, go check it out on your favorite podcast. And we hope that we can become one. We realize that there are many thousands of podcasts. We want to be on your list. And Trish will pick today's song for our topic. I want to thank my amazing co-host. We learn and grow together, her and I. It's an awesome experience. Thank you, the amazing audience. Thank you, all of you who have gotten on here and have sent me messages and have asked me how am I doing. You remembered me. Thank you so much. Keep watering me as well, because just as I give it, I need to get out, and vice versa. Today is Transformation Tuesday, and I'm challenging you to keep watering yourselves well. Good day, everyone. Because I don't want you just to make a resolution. I want you to think about. I was really about the mood, and then I got the vibe. I really took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. Really got the vibe with it. I took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. You can finally see a better you when you get the vibe with it. Yeah, when you get the vibe with it. Yeah. Just say something. It's about commitment. Try this.